What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 12 matchup of the 2025 NFL season on the road against Chicago. The scuttlebutt coming in was Pittsburgh has not won in Chicago in 30 years. They only have one lifetime win in Chicago against the Bears. So the kind of likelihood of us winning on the road here today was low, especially considering Caleb Williams, the second-year player who's been a phenom this season, has carried the Bears to a really, really solid year, and they continue to get better and better. The secondary gets better and better. The play calling gets better and more unique. Roma Dunze breaking out as kind of a second-year star as well. Pittsburgh comes in with no Aaron Rodgers today, and I'm going to admit, and this is going to be an unpopular video in some of my breakdown, but I came in, obviously, again, I said last week, and I'll reiterate here, nobody wants Aaron Rodgers to be unhealthy. Nobody wants him to be injured or be sick. You know, I'm cheering for his health and development. But in terms of playing this week, I really wanted Mason to play. Mason had a better half last week than Aaron Rodgers did, and Rodgers has not looked right in the last several weeks. He has looked older and slower and unhealthy and just not great for this offense. So I wanted to see, after a promising second half last week, what Mason Rudolph could do if given a full game. And we still don't really know the answer. He was really kind of held in, not by the Bears, but by his own team. The play calling was very conservative. It was both an efficient game in the run game. The run play calling overall was very good. I had said to myself before the game, if Mason comes out here and gets 28 to 31 points, you've got to think about the future of the team. Even this season, I know Pittsburgh is never going to bench Aaron Rodgers. It's never going to happen. They played the offseason with him all offseason, let him play around with them, go on retreats, put them off. They bring in Rodgers. They pay him for one final season. It is the farewell season of a Hall of Fame, one of the best of all time career for Rodgers. They're not going to bench him ever. It's just not going to happen. So there's no likelihood that Mason becomes the starter. But I did say, after a better second half last week than Aaron played, coming in, if he had a really good game against the Bears, I would personally start thinking about who's the better quarterback to finish this year and head into next season and see what can happen for our future. And we did put up 28 points today. Granted, 7 of that was from the defense. Got another defensive touchdown this week after 2 last week. But Mason's offense puts up 21 and potentially had more on the board as well. But that being said, I like the run game. I like doing a lot of motion across the formation, using Jonnu in some running plays, a couple of screen plays to DK that were successful. But overall, I think with the run game working the way it was, using Gainwell in the pass game and some trick stuff, using Jalen straight ahead, pulling Darnell out, pulling the extra lineman out, and Spencer Anderson, I think that is a nice, efficient, fun running offense that Tomlin said they want to be their identity, and I understand it. It's not the most fun, it's not the most splashy, it is long, conservative drives that eventually get you yardage and get you points over time as the defense breaks down. Passing-wise, though, Pittsburgh did not let Mason do much outside of the screen game. His strength has come from deeper stuff in the past, and they did eventually give him a few go balls, but it didn't really fully work out. So I'll go ahead and break down the stats. First, I will say Pittsburgh loses this game 31-28. Back and forth game. Pittsburgh's defense did not play well, again allowing 31 points. Caleb Williams had one of his career highs at 235 yards and 3 touchdowns. A hard guy to watch. The middle of the field is still too soft. That soft zone didn't work. Some of the man stuff in the middle of the field didn't work. The middle of the field is definitely a gaping problem for us. So Chicago comes down. They get to 31. Pittsburgh comes down. Mason Rudolph answers. Nice touchdown drive with a strike to Pat Freiermuth. But then the defense holds, and then Mason gets the ball back with a minute 35, and they tipped a couple of balls to the line, so we did not get a chance. We were within about 3 yards of the Chris Boswell field goal line. It was like 4th and 6. If we had gotten 3 more yards, we would have kicked for the game-tying field goal. We were 3 yards short of Mason's line, so we didn't kick. Went forward on 4th down. Ball gets tipped. So Pittsburgh winds up losing 31-28, falling to 6-5. Right on pace for that 9-8 season, I guess, right? Mason Rudolph in this game, 24 of 31. only 8 incompletions, 24-31, 171 yards. So not a ton of yards to go with those completions. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The touchdown was a really nice play on a clutch fourth quarter drive. Mason holds the ball a bit, finds a nice dart to Pat Freiermuth in the back of the end zone. Good touchdown pass. The interception wasn't really a bad play. It was a go ball one-on-one, slightly underthrown. Was looking for who was it? Was it Roman Wilson or DK Metcalf? I think it was DK Metcalf on the first go ball. A little bit underthrown, but really a nice play by the defender who's been playing really good ball. Gets up there and makes an interception. He's leading the NFL in picks right now, I think with 7 turnovers this season. So he goes up underneath and takes the ball away from DK. Again, not the best decision or the force of throw on the ball, but it was a good one-on-one opportunity. The defender made a nice play. Ball was slightly underthrown, so I'm not going to blame Mason too hard, but not the best throw there. Again, Mason played solid, made some throws in the middle of the field. When they started letting him throw because we were down, he started making some good plays. The go balls, there weren't a ton of opportunities. I will say Roman Wilson did get open downfield on 2 of them. One was an extended play that was broken, and Mason just threw it away and missed Roman Wilson downfield, and the other one was a one-on-one play that Mason missed toward the out-of-bounds line as well. So there were 2 chances on the board for Roman Wilson, who winds up with no catches today. Other than that, it was just too conservatively called. Mason did his part, again, 24 of 31, made the throws he had to make for the most part. 1 or 2 underthrown or misthrown balls on deep balls, but wasn't given a chance to throw the whole route tree or do too much downfield. So I think Mason played a pretty efficient game here, and I would still be encouraged to have him come out and play again next week, although if Rodgers is healthy, he's not going to. But that said, 31-28, Pittsburgh gets 28 points, 21 on offense. I like Mason's game today. He was not allowed to do the best of what he could do against a Bears defense who had a lot of linebackers injured. They had their starting 3 linebackers were hurt today, and 2 of the backups in the course of the game got hurt as well. So 5 total injuries at linebacker for the Bears. That means you take a guy like Freiermuth, and you take, Darnell Washington, who had 2 nice catches today, the broken tackle beast that he is. You take Jonnu, Pat, and Darnell Washington, and even some stuff across the middle with Calvin and Roman. Inside doing slants, inside doing crossers. Give your guys a chance to run routes and get inside. Let the tight ends use their bodies and the inside receivers use their speed and get themselves open on some short slants and short crossers. Use the middle of the field. You're on your 5th string linebacker if you're the Bears. Pittsburgh needed to use the middle of the field more, and they didn't let Mason do it. Running the ball was our strength today. Jaylen Warren, 18 carries for 68 yards, 3.8 yards per carry, and gets a touchdown as well. Pretty solid day for Warren. Gainwell leads the way, mostly on 1 big play, but has 10 carries for 92 yards. So Jaylen gets 68, Gainwell gets 92. The 92 came on a 4th down. They had Connor Hayward ready for the tush push once again. Connor actually turns and hands it off. Connor handing it off to Gainwell, who gets around the edge and gets a nice play down to the 1-yard line that Jaylen then punches in for a touchdown. So a good little gadget call of misdirection on 4th down after Pittsburgh usually uses the tush push. We used the tush push earlier in the day on a play that was called not a first down. I'm trying to think if it was the Mason play or if it was the Connor Hayward play, but the referees had a couple weird calls in this game. There was a 4th down play. They called the play over, but either Mason or Connor, I forget who it was, clearly got themselves over the line to gain. It was clearly a Pittsburgh first down by like 1.5 yards, 2 yards, and they stopped the play early and say we didn't get it, which caused a turnover on downs. Another play, they called the Bears for a holding play or blocking the back play when the Bears would have had the ball inside the 5-yard line after a nice special team stop. They then called a penalty on Pittsburgh instead and reversed it, and Pittsburgh didn't see any penalty. They didn't show any penalty, and all of a sudden we had to repunt, and the Bears get the ball at the 40-yard line. So some bad calls there for sure on the day by the refs. Receiving, not much to speak of. The touchdown is Freiermuth. He gets the nice play. He had got a drive extender earlier in the game. I think it was a 3rd down play that Muth gets. Then he goes to the back of the end zone for a touchdown. So nice play there. Calvin Austin leads the way in receiving at 4 catches for 36 yards. Good to see him back on the field. They trusted him again after the fumble. Was it a fumble or it was a tip ball that led to an interception? He winds up being back on the field more this week once again, but 4 for 36 leads the way. DK had 5 catches, but only had about 22 yards. They used him only really on screenplays, and one of his long screenplays was considered a run. It was a backward pass by Mason to DK, which goes for a touchdown. So DK does score on one that was initially considered a pass and then is considered a run. So Pittsburgh gets 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 passing touchdown on offense. Again, conservative and not the most fun to watch, but very efficient on the run. I got to give positives to Warren and Gainwell. I want to also call out Darnell Washington for a good game. Had 2 nice receiving plays on some passes, but took 2 nice plays for some broken tackles as a receiver and also had some very nice blocks. Spencer Anderson, big positive as well. What they did with keeping Spencer Anderson at fullback and then motioning Darnell to the end of the line, so you've got 2 big guys pulling, really worked out well. They also used Jonnu in blocking today. I think Jonnu had a solid day. 3 nice catches for him today, but nothing is going to bounce off the stat sheet. He's being spectacular, but 3 nice catches in the middle of the field. He was the only guy they consistently used early on in the middle of the field and had a couple nice motion plays that led to blocks as well. So I want to give blocking credit to Jonnu, Darnell, and Spencer Anderson. I like the efficiency and the formations they used to run. It led to positive days from Gainwell and Warren. Offensive line overall, I'm giving a positive 2. Darnell did allow 2 sacks off the edge, but that was mostly Mason holding the ball. There were times back there that Mason had initially a clean pocket, not amazing blocking, not like a ton of time, but enough time to either find his guy or get rid of the ball. Twice he tried to hold on to it, which led to sacks. They go stat-wise on Darnell's stat sheet, but in reality, Mason should have gotten rid of the ball. He's not very mobile. He did have 1 nice run called back on a penalty, but overall, I think the line played pretty well today. Mason's got to get the ball out a little bit quicker, but still deserved more to do on offense. Defensively, again, 31 points allowed, so it is a net minus for this defense, big time. Bears played pretty well. I will say we did stuff DeAndre Swift, who's a very, very good running back. Really electric speedster. He was held to 1.9 yards per carry and a fumble loss today, so good job in the run game on Swift. Rookie Kyle Monangai, one of the better second running backs in the league, who's been an emerging rookie running back who I scouted big time in college and was a fan of. He comes in and has a better day against Pittsburgh. Gets a touchdown from up the middle. He had a few times where he had nice cutbacks. He had one that he stumbled on a cutback that could have been another long play. So Monangai has a better game. We've got to be more disciplined at staying in our lanes. I think Pittsburgh initially has good pressure, but doesn't always either pick the right lane or gets blocked and can't get off their blocks to get back in their lane to stuff running backs. The middle of our rushing lane for our defensive line is still too open, in my opinion. Commentary made a note about Malik Harrison being in the game for running plays and Peyton Wilson being in the game for passing plays, and Ben Johnson, the Bears coach and coordinator, out calling our team on getting the right alignments on the field, making us think it was a run when it was a pass and vice versa. So credit to them. That is a positive for the Bears coaching and a knock on our coaching. I'm putting that one on Mike T. Tomlin's got a plan for that a little better, but also I wonder what's happening with Cole Holcomb. Is he hurt? Because I haven't seen his name on the injury report or heard about anything major, but he hasn't been on the field, and he usually is a guy that can do both. He is a better run stuffer than Peyton Wilson, at least up until the last couple weeks, because Wilson has been an emerging tackler and a really important piece on this defense, but Holcomb usually is the guy that can do both. He can be a pursuit guy because he's fast, but also is a pretty good cover guy. So him not being out there does expose our hand when Malik Harrison's out there, because a couple times Harrison was out there in passing downs and he couldn't cover the guys they were throwing to. So overall, tough day trying to cover Colston Loveland. That one I think was on one of the linebackers. Another touchdown. Jalen Ramsey gets beat on an outside to inside move. Really nice fake, shoulder and leg fake, and then the guy cuts inside. Another play. Actually, that was Kyle Duggar. Duggar gets beat on one of the touchdowns. Had a good overall day, but got beat on a touchdown there. Another play, Jalen Ramsey just looked lost on back there. He's been really good since moving to safety, and it's been a partial turnaround for this defense. He got beat really bad on a play where he was outside for too long and then a bit too far inside and kind of left both of his seam guys open, and DJ Moore gets a seam play wide open. So the read on that by Ramsey was awful. He gets a negative for me overall today. I gave positives to Keanu Benton and Kyle Duggar. Duggar, again, did get beat on the touchdown, but it was still decent coverage. He just didn't get in there fast enough. Had a really nice hit where he jarred a ball loose that was still caught caught off the rebound, but a nice hit. Had a couple nice tackles as well. Also had one that he should have picked off. Caleb Williams, for as good of a game as he had today with 3 touchdowns, was pretty inaccurate on some stuff. He missed 5 or 6 guys that he should have had. He should have had 5 or 6 more completions. One was an overshoot that Kyle Duggar should have picked off, but it bounced off of his shoulder pad. So that's on Duggar for the drop, but he did get some nice deflections today and played a good game overall. Keanu Benton, he's not going to jump off the stat sheet in this, but does get one nice pressure that leads to an overthrow. Also had a couple tackles in the run game. I like his pursuit right now. I like his lanes. He's probably picking the best lanes out of anybody on the defensive line. I'm just really seeing both Benton and Peyton Wilson emerging. This week it was more Benton. JPJ plays a pretty good game overall. Roma Dunze didn't bounce off the stat sheet like he usually does. He had a real quiet game. A lot of the sideline stuff was well defended. JPJ also was there on a couple of balls that were shorted. So I think JPJ had a very nice game. Did go off the field injured and came back later on. Darius Slay also came back from concussion and he was quiet today. Nothing major play-wise, but also didn't do anything terribly. Secondary-wise, I didn't see... they didn't really do much in the slot. Our usual slot guy did not play a ton this week, but we did see, since at different times in the game our 2 starting outside corners were out, we did see a lot of James Pierre again this week. Nothing special. I think he got beat on a couple things. Nothing big. Was around the ball well. I think had like 5 or 6 tackles in this game. Didn't play as sharply as he has the last 2 weeks, but didn't allow anything major either. Just overall, the defense needs to get better at covering the middle of the field, needs to get better at talking to each other and filling in gaps and being more disciplined in the front 7, and just not enough pressure. There were 2 big plays today, which led to turnovers. TJ Watt gets a sack today, the only sack for the Steelers. We need more than 1 sack a game. Usually when Pittsburgh is getting 5 or 6 sacks a game, we're always winning, and anything like 1 sack, we're losing. TJ Watt gets a sack and a forced fumble in the end zone to give himself the fastest player to as many sacks as he has. I forget the exact number, but he surpassed his brother J.J. Watt, who was doing commentary. So Watt with the all-time sack lead there for fastest sacks of all time. So congrats to TJ. Gets a sack in the end zone for a forced fumble, which is recovered by Herbig. So Watt gets a sack and a forced fumble. Nick Herbig, who played for Highsmith today, gets a fumble recovery in the end zone for a touchdown. So fumble recovery and touchdown for Herbig. Second straight week with touchdowns for the defense. 2 last week, 1 this week. Very good stuff. Also, Y.A. Black forces a fumble in a pile that I could not see. But Y.A. Black forced a fumble on DeAndre Swift and then also recovered the fumble. So gets a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Big play for the rookie. Good to see him getting on the field more in the last 2 weeks. I like him a lot. He's a big part of our future, and he's getting better and better as a gigantic guy on the D-line. So good for Y.A. Black. Like I said, JPJ, Duggar, and Benton get positives. Ramsey gets a negative. Brandon Eccles doesn't play much in the game today. Special teams-wise, Boswell 0 for 0 does not get to kick. I wish he had gotten a chance to kick in the 4th quarter and try to tie this thing up. Corliss Waitman, bad day, the worst of his season, probably the worst of his 2 seasons here in Pittsburgh. 3 kicks for 106 yards. That is only a 35.3 yards per kick average. And of the 3 kicks, none of them are inside the 20. So bad day for our punter overall. Worst day of the season by far. Does have one really nice punt that's inside the 10 that... we got a nice tackle on, but that was called back on a weird hold. We repunted, and the ball went 30 yards. So not a good day for Waitman. So Pittsburgh gets 28 points, score on defense. Mason plays pretty solid, but nothing spectacular. Conservative, but efficient. But it's not enough for the win. We could not come down the field for the tie at the end of the game. Bears win 31-28 in a overall bad defensive game for us, and Pittsburgh falls to 6-5. So tell me in the comments down below who impressed you in this game and why, who did not impress you and why. What do you want to see out of our quarterbacks next week? Do you think Rodgers should still be the guy? He's going to be the guy if he's healthy, but should he still be the guy, or does Mason deserve more of a chance here? Was Mason's game indicative of what he can do for this team, or was Mason held back in this game? What do you think overall? What does the defense need to do more to keep our team in these games late in games so Pittsburgh does not go to 9-8 at the end of the year? Tell me in the comments below, and please like, share, and subscribe these Pittsburgh Steeler Deep Dives if you like these Steeler reviews, and I will see you guys next week. Go Steelers.